What up, my freaks? RuinousInsight here with part 16 of my Total Warhammer 3 modded Arkhan the Black campaign. So as we saw last time, Arkhan marched northward towards Death Gorge, the capital of the Exiles of KHORNE. Unfortunately, and perhaps somewhat unexpectedly, we were forced to divert Arkhan's army towards a force of greenskins, marching downwards instead. The interception was a great success as the greenskins fell without too much trouble, but we did unfortunately suffer attrition for our trouble there, as being stuck as we were, and on top of that, this allowed the Khornate forces to recover units into their army, or recruit units into their army, and making it all that much tougher by the looks of it to siege Death Gorge. It looks like it'll be a 3/4 stack and whatever's in the garrison, which is quite nice, and we're looking at least 10 units of Bloodletters and Exalted Bloodletters, which should be pretty interesting to fight against. Fairly difficult as well, especially considering that our Ghost units are pretty much going to be useless here against both the Bloodletters and the Fleshhounds of KHORNE, and the pair of Blood Reapers that they've got as well. Alright, well, we'll see what we can do about that. Before we do so, however, I did have an idea that I'd like to implement. In my current ongoing Krog-Gar campaign, there came up a situation wherein it may have been advantageous to trade one of our newly conquered settlements to an ally, but here I'm thinking of doing something very similar, but rather trading Sunken Kernarch specifically to the Bloody Hands. We don't necessarily want to advance any further northward, as we're already spread way too thin down here, and there's also all these enemies from Lustria that are probably going to come calling sooner rather than later, and as we see, these guys come sailing down as well. So I think if we can use the Bloody Hands for now, of course betray them later because we want the special location at Morgheim, or the landmark at Morgheim. If we can use them by doing this, and that will give us a non-aggression pact, we can divert Arkhan southward to something more important than endless expansion, at least northward. At least this way we should be reasonably safe, especially because they're fighting a couple of factions that would be our enemies anyway. So let's try this. Sunken Kernarch to you, especially because this is the only territory we have of this province. And 4.9, eh? Yeah, it's not bad. 2.1k for free? Alright. I mean, it's not free, but you know. I think that's a pretty good trade. The non-aggression pact should prevent the AI from declaring war on us for at least 10 turns, I'd like to think. Though whether that actually works out or not, who knows. Yeah, relationship is improving now, and maybe we could even keep friendly with them for a while longer. I mean, honestly, we probably want to go southward and just destroy Kairos as well, not just everyone here. And we can't be advancing in both directions at the current time because we just don't have the units in our armies. They're still a little bit too basic, unfortunately. Anyway, other than that, we do have a little bit of money, but we've been intending to spend it at the Great Desert of Araby, so that's where we'll spend it. Lost Tombs is what we're going with, which for some reason gives us useless growth plus 30, considering you can only... Yeah, because you can only access the tier 3 of this building once you reach tier 3 of the settlement, so why would it give growth at all? It's not like it can grow the territory. Because that is impossible. Okay, well, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Just noticing random things. Alrighty, let's get Worship of Asaph back up and running, because we're probably never going to collect income out of this province, as it basically generates nothing anyway. So that's just fine. We still have a little bit of cash remaining, but we can spend it after, because it depends on what cash we get out of Death Gorge, if we can succeed in the siege. Hector, let's move you up north. Wait. Would you be able to reach... Wait. Arkhan, let's move you here to Death Gorge. I want to check something. Go, go, go. Yeah, could you move any slower? Thank you. And we're not going to bother building the siege towers. Maybe we'd be able to try to draw them into a field battle. Maybe. But do we want to waste a turn waiting for that? I'm not sure that we do. Let's get you into Entomb Beneath the Sands, and it looks like we can just reach the place. So that means you won't suffer attrition. And on top of that, Let us summon the chosen... Ooh, wait, are we able to summon these guys in non-friendly territory? Huh. I guess we're about to find out. Let's get to you.
Address me as your highness.
Losing one of the skeleton spears.
Yes.
And yes, we can. Alright, chosen of the gods, please. Now, granted, we are not going to keep this Ushabti in this army forever, mostly because they'll go into the Ushabti King's army. But for now, they do benefit quite a bit from the stuff that that you do, i.e. prepared, and then we'll simply trade it away once that lord is up and running, but it'll be a while. Actually, speaking of King Sanacht, you can get stone sentinels, because the intent here is to have a bunch of skeleton archers, and then to replace all the spears with the sepulchral stalkers instead as our main line. I think it'll be a pretty nice army eventually. Now, you don't need other levels, but Arkhan probably does, yes. Let's get you... might as well go for Sun-Scorched Bones, get a little bit more power for our Tomb Guard. We may even send them up the walls just for fun, who knows. And Necrotect, Hatmus, the best named Necrotect in all the land. You can have increased mobility for us. Ooh, wait. I'm just now thinking... this would actually buff our Sepulchral Stalkers. And so would this... and Restore would help as well. Now, you know what? We're gonna get a Restore. Who knows? We may send the Eyes of the Desert in to melee. This probably wouldn't be so helpful to the Chosen of the Gods, because we're not gonna send them into melee. But, yeah. We've certainly used the Sepulchral Stalkers in that way a number of times. Also, let's double-check our items before we go, though I don't believe we have any. Yeah, there's just so few. King Araru, you have the Opal Amulet, eh? Well, Arkhan has nothing, so let's give that to him. As he probably might need it. And the damage resistance will certainly help if he gets stuck somewhere. Then he is on a chariot after all. Anything else here that we want to trade? I don't think so. The other stuff is fine. King Sanacht has a Sword of Strife, eh? Well, he's gonna help out right now anyway, so he can keep that. Cultist of Osirian, well, we get a lot of these, but we don't really need them right now. Although, now that I think about it, can you guys hold Cultist of Osirian? Let's see. No. Yes. Might as well hold one. And where's King Sanacht? You're right here. You can have a Cultist of Osirian, and you already have one. Alright. I mean, if we're already here, we may as well reduce the corruption that we get, and you can have a Cultist of Osirian and a Highborn of Khemri. There we go. All of our ancillaries and all of our items now where they need to be. You can stay here, Mr. Hetakor. Could have actually had you join an army, but we don't really need you. You're not going to add too much to this, and I believe that's all we need to do, so here we go. Still a valiant defeat, which tells me that it's very highly likely that if we were to siege this, we would, or if we were to siege us for a turn, the enemy would indeed sally out. That said, I think we'd rather not waste the turns, so let's fight it cinematically. Here we go.
I agree.
Alrighty, here we go. Wait, did Arkhan always have this massive pile of fog around him when he started? Huh. Interesting. Maybe this fog just sort of condensed while the battle was loading. But anyway, look at all the enemies arrayed before us. So many bloodletters and warriors of KHORNE. It looks like a lot of them are standing up here to guard their main tower, or at least one of their main towers. Should be a very interesting fight. And that said, I'm going to make a quick cut here now, and just because the reinforcements are going to come on the field and the bombardment is going to take a while. I mean, neither mortars nor the Casket of Souls is particularly effective at knocking down towers due to their fairly abysmal accuracy, and it just takes like 10 full minutes of bombardment, so feels like a waste of time to me. So just a quick cut here. And we are back. Our army is finally moving forward. And when I say finally, I mean finally. It did not take 10 minutes to bombard those towers down. Rather, it took a full 22. An absolute hassle. Granted, I played it at max speed, but still, it took far, far too long. But it was necessary. You know what's even more necessary? Now we gotta get carronades and or screaming skull catapults in every single army, because I don't want to go through that again. And we could have probably assaulted the walls, but we would have taken so much damage that our army would have been either non-viable for a while, as in would have to heal for several turns, or would have actually had to reacquire new units. So yeah, best avoided, in my opinion. Anyway, let's just check on our ammunition here. Most of our mortars are out. They've gotten 17 kills between them and then 60 kills on the Casket of Souls. Those are all pure splash kills, however, as in kills that they got while shots missed the towers and then instead hit the enemy bloodletters and whatever else was up here. I guess the Skaven Slave Slingers as well. Oh, Skaven Slave Slingers in the red color scheme, of KHORNE. It looks like Clan Moor's colors, but much brighter. I kind of like it, actually. I don't see why not. I'd like to see what the Storm Vermin's armor looks like with that particular color scheme. Anyway, here we go. We advance forward. Our archers are going to start annoying all the enemy units on the wall, so I guess there's another level to this bombardment. But that said, that is not all we're doing. Arkhan has summoned a unit of zombies here, and has also summoned his skeleton warriors as well, both of which are going to get sent up the walls. The purpose of this is A, so that we can summon units on the inside of the settlement before we break through the gate, as that, I'm sure, is going to take a while without a ram, and B, because the enemy units will be standing up here trying to fight off the zombies and skeleton warriors, which means they will be susceptible to fire from all of our skeleton archers. I also want to mention that on the other side of the map we have our crypt ghouls, or 2 units out of the 4 of our crypt ghouls, as well as our Hex Wraiths and our Usirian's Legion of the Netherworld. Netherworld? Yes, alrighty. I didn't confuse it with Underworld this time. And they're going to try to make it through this settlement, or the gate here, and go for this tower just to destroy it so it can't fire down on our units. But of course only after the enemies are gone, because we're a little bit scared of the magic damage that they could wield. Looks like these Skaven Slave Slingers here were annoying our archers a little bit, so we're going to start hosing them down with arrows as well. What is this? Wow, look at that. It looks like the where the tower used to be, I mean, it's just invisible. It's still here. You can see the square form of where the tower used to be. And it's still taking arrows, which is a little bit unfortunate, so it looks like that's going to be protecting the Skaven Slave Slingers to some degree. But oh well. At the end of the day, as long as we can kill the units on top of the walls, it'll all be fine, and the battle probably won't be decided on the walls either. We are now trying to break down the gate, at least we're working on it, with our Sepulchral Stalkers and our Lord and Heroes, or Lords and Heroes in this particular situation. But the enemy is moving forward with a unit of Exalted Bloodletters to try to counteract our Sepulchral Stalkers. Granted, we can heal them up quite nicely, so we're not too afraid of them dying, but we do still want to be careful here. I really wish that you could get the camera in the middle of the archway here. It would make for some epic shots in so many sieges, but alas, not a thing you can do. What we can do, however, is simply summon some zombies behind these Exalted Bloodletters, trapping them between the zombies and the Lords, Heroes, and Stalkers, and forcing the enemy to essentially blob up around the gate as well. We gotta run out of zombies and skeleton warriors, whether it be down here or on top of the walls, before we start sending in Tomb Guard or skeleton warriors. Plus this will give extra time to run out of ammunition on all of our archers, who do seem to be killing at least the occasional Bloodletter, though of course the latter do have a decent amount of physical resistance, being demons and all that. 20% physical resistance. I thought it was 40% for a second, and I got very concerned, but no, not that bad. Or not that good from their perspective. Anyway, the zombies, you're gonna have to try your best to hold here, guys, because there's a lot of enemies and not a lot of you, which is probably an unusual situation for zombies to be in, as there's usually so many. Looks like a couple of our sepulchral stalkers have already dropped and another one's gonna follow suit, but we can simply resurrect them when needed. The reason that they're dropping is because they went through the gate partially, and the half of the unit is now trapped on this side. We are going to buff them up by giving them the Job's Incantation of Cursed Blades so that they can apply bleed to all the enemy units, who are now both poisoned, or actually they're just bleeding and corroded. It'd be nice if we could poison them as well. Oh, another Sepulchral Stalker goes down. I guess we don't see these guys die very often, so at least we can watch those animations. Another one goes down, and those Bloodletters doing quite good and breaking them. But once again, not so worried. As long as the unit survives, we can simply heal it up and resurrect those units. The gate's now at 9,000 out of 30k. We are slowly making our way through. And here comes our first big spell of the day. Rather than popping the Wind of Death through the enemy line, I decided to check out what SKULLSTORM can do for us, and clearly it's already exploding some enemies. This was a pretty ideal situation to use one of those things, because at pretty much any direction this vortex moves into, it'll hit the enemy. So usually I have terrible luck with these things and they'll immediately move out of the press, but this time it's looking pretty good because, well, we can't get screwed over by it moving. Well, I guess there is one method. It could, in theory, move if it got perfectly in the gate. It could move through the gate. It's happened to me a couple of times before, and I'm still salty about it, but this time it doesn't look like it. Alrighty, and there we go. That's SKULLSTORM, looking like it's doing a ton of damage, both to the Bloodletters and to the Warriors of KHORNE down there. Looks like one of the Bloodletter units actually got pretty much destroyed by it, as they appear to be fading away. Of course, this is also ripping our zombies apart, but who cares? We can always summon more. And there we go, the SKULLSTORM dissipates, and let's see what the damage is. So, where is our Lich Priest of Nehekara? You got 267 kills and 38k damage with that single SKULLSTORM. I want to point out that the SKULLSTORM cost us 12 mana, unless I'm mistaken. That's Sekhmet's or SKULLSTORM? SKULLSTORM? Where are you, buddy? Please, stop hiding from me. Oh, it is here. Sekhmet's Incantation of the SKULLSTORM, yes. So it is indeed 12 mana, which was pretty worth it. It wasn't Overcast, mind you, because, well, we don't have it leveled enough to Overcast yet, but that did work out pretty well. And granted, it probably did a lot more damage to the Bloodletters than otherwise, because it lacks armor-piercing damage and only does standard, but nonetheless, in this particular situation, the enemy just brought a ton of Bloodletters to the fray, so we could take advantage of it by using a spell that doesn't armor-pierce. And there we go. Looks like enough damage was done not only to the enemy, but to our own zombies to activate the third tier of the Realm of Souls, which means our Ushabti are now on the field as well and starting to rip through the Bloodletters as well, and helping to protect the remaining Necro Serpents, as the Eyes of the Desert are pretty badly beat up at this point. Still, it looks like the Ushabti have forced another one of the enemy Bloodletter units into banishment. And if they can hold for a little longer, we can always drop another SKULLSTORM. They are relatively cheap, and this seems like a very good situation for it. On top of that, our archers are starting, well, at least some of them, are starting to run out of mana. They've been doing a pretty decent job up there. And they will continue hosing down the enemy. With the help of the Regiment of Renown that's causing that corroded armor on the enemy. And speaking of help, it looks like the Eyes of the Desert are back into the fray. The gate is down, and now they can move away. They are down to, let's see how many units here. Down to 9 out of 20. I think they started with either 15 or 17 or something along those lines. Which ain't all that much, mind you. But we should be able to give you... ain't all that much damage, is what I mean. But we should be able to revive them. There we go, still an absolute ton of enemy units here, and we are taking hits from the Skull Cannon, but it is wasting its shots, or they're wasting their shots. I'm still not used to SFO having multiple units in a single Skull Cannon squad, I guess, or battery would probably be the more appropriate word. They're all firing primarily at our Ushabti and are now firing on some of the units on the walls as well. But we still got zombies where the first set of zombies came from. Mortar support also coming in, and well, if it isn't another SKULLSTORM. Finally we're getting to use this spell. It's always been a pretty cool looking spell, and it's always been a shame that it's rarely used and not particularly useful in many situations, but the same thing can often go for many vortexes. In fact, this one immediately moves away, but at the very least it doesn't hurt our zombies, and if we really wanted to, we could always summon another one right there, because once again, it's pretty darn cheap. Alrighty, now after that one is done, just out of curiosity, once again, our Lich Priest of Nehekara up now to 407 kills and 64,000 damage. Definitely much further than Arkhan, but he hasn't been using any damaging spells today. And it looks like yet another unit of Bloodletters is starting to get vanished away. Arkhan is also in the middle of this, but he's sort of just sitting there and applying a few hits of his own. We also have our White King in the middle of this. We could get him out, but frankly, we don't really care all that much, because if he dies, well, it doesn't really matter. The more damage he does, the better. And besides, he's keeping the enemy where they need to be. I'm gonna pop another unit of Skeleton Warriors summoned by Arkhan and immediately give them the Joff's Incantation of Cursed Blades so that they can apply more bleed to every unit that they're fighting. And so far, we haven't really committed all that many troops. We are starting to, however, as the reinforcing army's skeleton spears are starting to head up the wall here and over on this side as well. In fact, they're distracting the enemy Herald of KHORNE up here. And then the other two units, as we started with 4, 2 of course went off screen in favor of our mortars. And these two are heading down the center as well. Now the enemy's army has certainly dwindled. Look at that balance of power. It is very much in our favor now. And the enemy has, well, a little bit more than a third of its army remaining. We've certainly taken damage ourselves, but mostly to summoned units, so what do we care? And just taking a look at what's going on over on this side, we're simply waiting to get through the gate. The Usirian's Legion of the Netherworld have moved up top, and they're going to just jump down and then grab this gate, open it up for these units to move in. Of course, they are a ghost unit, and an SFO have perfect vigor, and thus they don't care about climbing, which is quite nice. Alright, back to this never-ending little fight here. The dead versus the undying. Or actually, wait. The undead versus the unliving? How would you describe a demon? They're technically not alive. I'm gonna go with the undead versus unliving. Though I've definitely seen unliving used as a synonym for undead as well. Alrighty, our White King's still fighting in the middle of this, but I think it's about time for him to start dissipating. He's been in there for quite a while. And the enemy is just simply running out of troops at this point. Soon they will no longer have enough to choke the gate with bodies, and then we shall simply move through the gate and start spreading out through their city. And one way to make sure that happens is a third SKULLSTORM coming in. There we go. Today is a SKULLSTORM day. Alrighty, and that looks like it's spinning right where it should be. Would have been nice if it moved a little bit more in this direction, but it still seems to have done fairly decent damage. Those Bloodletters are dropping once again. There is still a unit of Chaos Warriors of KHORNE with halberds, and there we go, SKULLSTORM moving back in the right direction now. And beautiful. And another 2 units of Bloodletters will fade away due to that. There are still units on top of the walls, but it looks like a unit of Chaos Warriors of KHORNE on the walls has been destroyed now. And I just want to point out that the wall fight has never stopped, basically. All this while, the enemies have been fighting the zombies that we've been summoning and the skeleton spears that we've been sending up those walls, while being hit by our archers, who are basically all out of ammunition at this point, or at least pretty much out. Funnily enough, we're not getting a lot of value out of our Chosen of the Gods in Ushabti. The Regiment of Renown, I mean. And it looks like the enemy lord is now unstable and is in fact going to die as well. These skeleton spears that climbed the wall and did a great job allowing the ranged units to kill that poor herald, and in fact are now able to back off and no more need to climb the walls or distract him. Now we're making our way into the city proper. Our skeleton spears are moving in, still with the support of our range fire, mind you. And we can always move in some more elite units to help out the skeleton spears, as well as the Kepra Guard are going to move in, the Regiment of Renown of Tomb Guard, wherever they are. They'll be in here shortly. There they are. And we can move in the Sepulchral Stalkers as well, who are back up to full HP and a 17 out of 17 units that they started with. Alrighty, looks like Arkhan's doing some spin to win versus the enemy Skull Cannons, which have their own spin to win variety. We are at this point out of summons completely. Arkhan can summon no more zombies, and while I think he can summon more skeleton warriors, he does have it on cooldown still, so he's just going to fight this the old-fashioned way, with skeleton spears to back him up. Granted, if he's fighting here by himself, it's going to take him a while to destroy these skull cannons, so we may as well bring our anti-large and full HP Sepulchral Stalkers out to play. And there we go, that cooldown is off, and here comes that last summon that we have of Skeleton Warriors. The balance of power is now a sliver in the enemy's favor, and we are starting to commit more units. Tomb Guard now climbing the walls, not that we really need them at this point. Our artillery is mainly out of ammunition, though the Casket of Souls can no longer fire, as the enemy is not in a great position for us to do so. Very nice, looks like one of those Skulls cannons popped. Man, this battle is certainly taking some effort, but once again, we're not really committing all that much. You gotta love summons. Alrighty, and the Skull Cannons are trying to trundle away, and to this point the Sepulchral Stalker's trying to chase him down. What's his speed comparison like? 77 versus 79, yeah, they're about even. But if these guys come back, we can always kill them from range, as of course the Sepulchral Stalkers do have their special range weapon. It looks like some Skaven Slaves are coming back, but charging into a unit of Sepulchral Stalkers, it doesn't seem like that bright of an idea. Who convinced them to do so? I guess the madness of KHORNE was upon them. It looks like with that, the rest of the army is going to shatter. The last remaining Bloodletters and a Blood Reaper fighting to the death here. And the Blood Reaper lost his skull. Well. The irony is real. And there we go. Alrighty, and just like that, the rest of the entire enemy settlement is destroyed. Looks like we were just able to find a unit of Warhounds, of course, not Fleshhounds, but Warhounds, Chaos Warhounds here. Though, of course, they would have gotten obliterated by the Usurian's Legion because they are not magic damage dealers, and our Hex Rates were just about to join the battle as well. Not that they were needed. Gotta give this one as the MVP to the SKULLSTORM. Alrighty, actually turned out not too bad. Less than 10% losses for quite the number of enemy units. Also, this time it was not Arkhan's spells, but rather SKULLSTORM, and that was the star of the show. 86,000 damage on our Lich Priest in the Hekara, and glad we brought him along. Certainly could have done similar amounts of damage, I imagine, with Arkhan's own Wind of Death, but the SKULLSTORM did work out fairly well against those enemies foolishly blobbing around the gate. No unit lost, and their damage isn't all that heavy, so we're gonna occupy the place. Very nice. Alrighty. Skeleton Chariot for King Sanak. No, my friend, you are going to continue on your skeletal steed instead, at least until you're ready with your Cambrian War Sphinx. Only 4 levels to go. Really gotta get those War Sphinxes on various lords. Our healing actually looks pretty darn good here, so even though a few of our single entities will remain hurt for the next battle, they're single entities, so they should heal up just fine. And then we'll hit the floating village and maybe even And I don't know if this will work as well, but if we could trade Floating Village to the Bloody Hands and get a defensive alliance with them, just temporarily, mind you, that would be swell. Then that would absolutely guarantee them protecting us to the north if, you know, they don't eventually die, but honestly, even if they do, we don't care, any more than we care about the Drakenhof Conclave eventually dying. At the end of the day, Arkhan is willing to use anyone and everyone to achieve his means of reviving his bestie. He only has room in his heart for one one friend. Anyway, King Jogt, you, my friend, are moving up to try to ambush Svenner Firehand. Oh, I like the name, though. Firehand. That's not bad. I might steal that for my dwarf campaign. Anyway, Qatar, yes, let's move you to here, along the road, mind you, and let's hope that this guy gets ambushed. I don't know whether he'll be able to move to Qatar, but I doubt it. I feel like last time we saw this, they moved up to about here or something along those lines, though it was a different lord at the time. Also, you are a runesmith, but you lack the Rune of Wrath and Ruin, which would be the scariest thing that you could possibly have. Otherwise, your army, it does have some grudge rakers. Decent amount of range in general, though. The problem with that is once we get past their melee and into their range, they're going to have a lot of problems. Yeah, we'll see. Should be a pretty interesting fight, but that'll probably be for next episode, because frankly, that battle took a while. Though I'm not entirely sure how long, because I would have cut a portion of it out. Anyway, let's see. King Araru. You know, I kind of like the position he's currently in. He's sort of holding the line against anybody that moves this way, and if these guys suddenly declare war on us, we're in immediate striking distance of Sudenburg. Nobody can attack Black Pyramid of Nagash or Black Tower of Arkhan, as because those guys have walls and pretty decent defenses, or Khemri. Springs of Eternal Life is in danger, but we are going to be building up that Desert Lookout, hopefully to level 3 shortly, and King Jogt is always nearby as well. You know, I kind of like that. King Rakash, you... our new semi-legend, or our semi-legendary lord. What level do you have to be again to get your good stuff? 15. Wow, okay, yeah, we're gonna start having... we gotta level you up, man. Income from all buildings faction-wide. Well, this is an absolute... it's absolutely critical. Let's get your route marcher, so that you can go a little bit faster. And away you go. All the way. Let's say this way. I guess it's the fastest way to do it. Wait, would it be faster by sea? If it is, it's not by my... oh, wait. Oh, okay, so there used to be a Skull Island out here, for those who recall, which was one of the reasons we built this army here in the first place instead, but it looks like it got taken. I'm willing to bet that Leonardo Katratza took that, and that's why he was so hurt when he arrived on our shores. Annoying, but nothing we can do about it, which also means we don't need to go by sea. By land you go, my friend. We just gotta make sure that we have defenses up and running before these guys come back, which means Virus, you're probably next. Let's get you demolished, and let's get this up and running. Gotta get those defenses. The same thing is true of this place. You're all tier 3, but it's gonna take 3 turns for you to build up. Can the Wizard Caliph's Palace fall? I mean, it can, but not easily. And the enemy would have to go through some stuff to actually get to it. I think we can keep it as it is for now without deleting anything. Though we will probably delete the Mortuary House eventually. It's not like we need to level this place up to a great degree. Next up, El Kalabad, Black Tower of Arkhan. Yes, we need to level you up, so... I mean, yeah, we could save 260 money, or we could do the upgrade right now without changing the worship. And I guess the same thing would be true of the Black Pyramid of Nagash. Oh, you're already losing public order, yeah. Alright, fine, you know what? Let's start with the Black Pyramid of Nagash. Like so. And Black Tower. You... we will switch to construction cost reduction. And then we'll upgrade you next turn. Really got to get that up to tier 4 because it's a pretty amazing building out there. Also, we got 1,000 gold remaining, and I know exactly where to put it. Priesthood of Neru to get another Lich Priest up and running, because King Araru is currently our only king that lacks a priest. And you gotta have a priest with you. Alrighty, that looks fine to me. Next up, what do we got remaining here? King Sanak, King Araru, you guys are good where you are. Hetakor, stay here just to keep the public order and the corruption reduction here. We're actually at 100% vampiric, but we need to lower the Coronate, which is lowering by 21 per turn, which ain't too bad. Looks like we got an ancient battle site here, which gives us the ability to get various Nehekara horsemen. I'd love to get the tier 3, but it's going to take so long to upgrade this to tier 3 that I feel like we could just destroy this in the meantime. Also, let's get you, I guess, Worship of Asaf. Well, the rating will be... Wait, rating? Rating? Where is the rating? Who's Oh, this guy. I was wondering. Yeah, let's... If the rating is gone, that's minus 10 gone. The Khorne Corruption minus 16 gone. Provincial Instability minus 26. Wow, minus 26 public order from all this. We got 4 more turns of Unhappy Populace. And oh, man, that really screwed us over, I gotta say. Yeah, let's just go for Worship of Asaf for now. Although, if we get Worship of Tra... when we come back to this place, we'll be able to move out much faster. I know, screw it. Let's go for Worship of Tra for now. And the public order will fix itself, and it's not like we're collecting income right now. I feel like we do want to build defenses at this place, though. Which is one reason it may be problematic to keep around the ancient battle site. I just really would love to get those Sepulchral Stalkers. And this is the territory where our Lord Sanakt is going to stay as well, so it would be easy for him to retrofit his army in place. Alright, fine, you know what, we're going to keep this here. And we're eventually going to replace the funerary district with a wall instead. Plus, if King Sanakt stays at Death Forge, then he'll be fine. Though, really, he should probably be at Galbaraz to defend it. I mean, right now there's nothing there, but soon. Alrighty, I believe that's it for what we have to build. We got public order dropping everywhere, but that's going to happen until this unhappy populace is gone. Let's double check diplomacy, and then I guess we can end the turn before calling the episode. Let's see. Anything useful here? 1,000 Maws. No, there's still... not willing to declare war on any new factions. Trade agreement getting near with you, but not quite there yet. Same. Ooh. Barrow Legion, you're really ready for that defensive agreement, ain't you? I mean, we could do it. They'd give us money for it. And we could power them up a little bit by getting an outpost going. If they survive, we'll have use for them. Granted, everybody will hate us, because everybody hates Kemmler. Not to the same degree as Arkhan, mind you, but still. Alright, screw it. An offensive alliance. It's time. May as well save them. 2.2k. Yeah, we're not going to get a better deal than that. Alrighty. And at the very least, we can keep an eye on what's going on in that part of the world. Also, somebody suggested that in order to save Vlad, we pop the incantation of Tra, Great Incantation of Tra, and send our Super Necrotect up north to claim a ruin near to Vlad, to Vashanesh, and then we essentially protect him in that manner. We still got like 15 turns until that thing comes available, but it's certainly something to look into. Dreadfleet. Drakenhof Conclave, just out of curiosity. How much money? 2.1k. Probably not worth it. Dreadfleet, you have a mission for us. Outpost, no. Dreadfleet, ally missions. Alright, Ogak, which is... What? Oh, I don't like that. Oh, no. By the looks of it, there's an army that we can't see right here. Which means Galbaraz is going to get taken because it doesn't have a garrison. Oh, well, that's a shame. But what can you do? We'll have to send King Sanakt to reclaim it. At least we didn't invest anything in it. Maybe, just maybe, the army is actually too far, and this thing is lying, but if it isn't, then it'll fall. Spite is where? Spite is up here. Well, Ogak costs more or is worth more, so let's do Ogak. Huh. I just realized that you could probably abuse that system, the mission offering system, to secretly find out where enemies' armies are. I guess you could do the same thing with alliances, though, because they you can see the arrows of where your allies are moving, but kind of interesting that it showed us an army, essentially, without actually seeing the army. Anyway, back to the last of the diplomacy here. We what was that, 2.8? Mousillon, willing to go for a non-aggression pact. Hey, you know what'll get us enemies, or get everybody hating us even more? Allying with Mousillon.
I was expecting you.
Ah, nobody likes the dead. Let's see. Minus 112. Wow, they don't like the Barrow Legion, do they? It basically balances out our tolerance. If they were willing to do a trade agreement, I'd do this, but at, like this, probably not. They'd probably be willing to over time. We can wait until we get the fleet port of Zandri, or the fleet port of Terror at Zandri here. Now, oh, hello, what do we have here? Southern Sentinels willing to give us 1.4k to peace out? Sure. Why not? Let's just not have them sail over and annoy us. Let them keep fighting the Awakened and Pestilence. It's not our problem. And frankly, Cult of Sotek, 2k? Yes, please. Why not? This is why it's sometimes beneficial to randomly declare war on factions that are far away. As they become weaker and weaker, they're often very willing to offer you a decent amount of cash to peace out. Clan Gritus, though, I think will leave as we are because they're fighting the Cult of Pleasure, and maybe we'll be able to get an alliance with them someday? Maybe. We'll see. Alrighty, now we got 5.6k. We could actually possibly spend it on something, but we are going to get upgrades next turn, so let's reduce the cost first. Still, that was a pretty lucrative turn, I gotta say. Gotta appreciate that. Too bad we don't have any more quests. That plus 25 public order would be really handy right about now. Anyway, I don't believe there's anything else that we want to build, or at least that we can afford to build. I'm tempted by the Royal Barracks, but once again, I'm gonna get construction reduction. We will need to delete it anyway, but for now, if it gives us an extra couple Tomb Guard, I wouldn't be complaining about that either. Alright, well, regardless, let's end the turn. I just want... Oh, right, outposts available. Yeah, we should probably power up our friends. Maybe to help them survive. So some of our money's going to be gone into this, but, you know, it's kind of necessary at this point. Blackstone Post as well, there we go. 2,000 money. At the very least, the alliance with the Barrow Legion paid directly for that. Alrighty, now we can finally end the turn. And let's see what happens. Man, that turn took a while. It was like a late game turn. Clan Pestilence. Oh yeah, you're not going to like the fact that we pieced out to those factions. You're gonna end our non-aggression pact. Well, whatever. And Ikit Claw. Let me guess. I was about to say the same thing, but no. You're gonna straight up declare war on us. Now, this would normally annoy me because he's far away, but also close enough that he'd probably sail down to us, ignoring all the enemies around him. But the 8th Book of Nagash is located at Skavenblight. And that's certainly something we'll want to get, so that's fine by me. Alright, and look at all those factions he suddenly declared war with. I like the fact that we're basically allied with all the vamps everywhere now. Who are we missing? We're missing the Jiangxi Rebels. That's who we're missing. And I guess we're missing Mousillon. Those are minor factions. Technically the Silver Pinnacle as well, but I think they might be dead. And same with the Silver Host of Lamia. Alrighty, sacrifice to Mathland performed, faction destroyed, Rictus Wa succeeds, ally begins outpost construction, Galbaraz raised. Huh, surprised that they raised it. Oh well, good for them, I guess. Dynasty researched, a new Lich Priest available, and there we are. Alrighty, looks like we got a decent amount of money to spend, but we'll be spent... What the heck is this? It's gonna be annoying. Hopefully you can get there. Yeah, you can. Well, only in March stance, but you can get there. All right, that's not so bad. I mean, at least we got Tomb Guard in the garrison here, and honestly, they're going to take Desert Attrition as well, or at least they did take Desert Attrition by landing here. Are those Fire Leech Bolas? Okay, yeah, those are scary against the Tomb Kings. Scary good, I mean. Anyway, I'm gonna call the episode here. Obviously, we are out of time. We're gonna start off the next episode by attacking Svenner Firehand here. This looks like it'll be a pretty fun battle.
Stop that!
He definitely has more elite troops than us and a decent amount of artillery. The Grudge Rakers are also a tier 3 unit, and we're all tier 1 and tier... Do we even have any tier 2? All tier 1? All tier 1 except the zombie pirate gunnery mobs. Alright, well, it's somewhat in their favor, but the AI is bad with the dwarf armies because it doesn't understand how to deal with the fact that they're slow. Anyway, stay tuned for that fight against the dwarves. Don't forget to leave a like and comment. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.